Our treasured past at Texas Historic Sites is Ross Raspberry, a Texas State University senior majoring in communication studies and minoring in political communication. During his high school years in Lubbock, Ross spent time as an athletic trainer, a varsity athlete, and a competitive orator. Since entering college, Ross has taken on numerous responsibilities while competing for and serving as president of Texas State University's nationally ranked speech and debate team. He has earned numerous oratorical accolades, including multiple state championships and being named a national quarterfinalist in informative speaking. After graduation, Ross plans to pursue his interest in politics. Ross's first place finish among a field of strong competitors at the Woody Museum this past February earned him the first place prize of $3,000 for his speech, Sugarcane, Rum, Politics, and Oil, Nowhere But Texas. This is an enlightening and entertaining speech about the historic Varner Hog Plantation located in Brazoria County, Texas. It is my distinct privilege to introduce to you the first place winner of the Battle of Flowers 90th Annual Oratorical Contest, Ross Raspberry.
Magnolia trees, Varner Creek, and my personal favorite, the pecan orchard, are just a few of the beautiful sights to witness at the Varner Hog Plantation. The Texas Historic Commission explains that the plantation is actually home to over 134 years of Texas history. With its lush green fields, visitors say that no matter where you are on the property, you can hear the sound of Varner Creek babbling in the background. When one first sees the plantation home, your eyes are immediately drawn to its welcoming nature. The home features 6 main columns, with 3 columns on either side of the main entrance, and sports a porch that I can imagine hosted numerous guests as they sat out and enjoyed an iced tea or lemonade. Because, let's face it, summers in Texas almost require an iced beverage or two. My granddad always told me that the best part of a house is the porch, because that way you don't have to invite anyone inside. The property also features a side home located right next to the main building that was used as a resting facility for the workers, and both buildings are beautifully draped and surrounded by trees, which helps add a serene, welcoming feeling to the guests as they take in this historic site. From when the site was first purchased in 1824 until it was donated to the Texas Historical Commission in 1958, the home has been through the Republic of Texas officially being recognized as a state, to Dwight D. Eisenhower becoming the first Texas-born president. And even withstanding the Civil War, the home has been through it all, and as a result, provides unique and authentic insight into the eras that have molded Texas into the state that it is today. The site itself historically has been under the ownership of 3 prominent families over its long history, each of these ownerships utilizing the home in a different manner. And it was this differing utilization that directly mirrors the evolving landscape of Texas, both socially and politically. So, through sugarcane, rum, politics, and oil, the impact that the plantation has had will be explored. Our journey begins with Virginia native Martin Varner, who originally purchased the site from Stephen F. Austin in 1824. The original purchase contained 4,428 acres, more than ample size for growth and development. As a result, Varner built several facilities on the premises. This allowed him to begin growing sugarcane and even open a fully functioning distillery. His choice to develop a distillery just mirrors the influence that alcohol had at the time. The Project Share Texas webpage explains that given the time period of the early 1820s, it was actually a fairly common practice to pay your workers with alcohol. Talk about entertaining working conditions. And although Varner only owned the plantation for a brief 10 years, it was his vision of economic expansion that is significant to the history of the plantation, foreshadowing future owners using money-making ventures and maybe a little rum to help the plantation grow. Following ownership from Martin Varner, the home changed in more ways than one when it was sold to Columbus R. Patton in 1834. That same year, the Patton clan packed up and headed to Brazoria County, bringing with them a large slave labor force of around 40 to 60 slaves being on the location at any given time. He then changed the name of the plantation to the Patton Place. And interestingly enough, the entire Patton Place and surrounding structures were constructed with bricks that the slaves made themselves on site using mud found in the Brazoria River. With this skilled labor at his disposal, Patton was able to build a larger and more successful than average sugarcane enterprise, complete with a 2-story mill. Seeing as the temperance movement was beginning as early as the 1830s, Patton made the choice to get rid of the distillery because it was not generating enough of a profit, and instead focused solely on running as a plantation. And this focus paid off when in 1849, the Patton Place produced over 275,000 pounds of sugar and around 22,000 gallons of molasses. However, controversy was brewing. The Ultimate History Project explains that Patton had been living in disgraceful intimacy with one of his slaves named Rachel. It explains that his feelings for Rachel were so strong that in his will he effectively set her free and even granted her a monthly allowance. And in a Southern plot twist, even disinherited his own nephew for beating Rachel. Patton was able to continue the success of his plantation until November of 1854, when unfortunately, his family took their revenge. Historian Mark Carroll explains that the family, in an act of rage over the controversy, had Patton committed to an insane asylum, deeming him mentally unfit, where he eventually died of typhoid fever, in order to end his love affair with Rachel and restore their own inheritance. However, in Patton's biography, David Smith explains that friends of Patton all knew that he was a firm believer in reincarnation and vowed to return home even after his death. So in the still of the evening, with the full moon illuminating the magnolias, some say you can almost still feel his presence. Or maybe it's just the rum. The next big presence was former Governor Stephen Hogg. Kate Kirkland's The Houston and Hogg, Philanthropy and Civic Ideal, explains that James Stephen Hogg purchased the location in 1901. The I'm a Hogg blog explains that the original purchase contained 4,100 acres for about $30,000, which comes out to about $7 an acre. However, he did not spend all this money in vain. Hogg firmly believed that the location contained rich mineral deposits. The I'm a Hogg blog continues that on January 10th, 1901, an oil well was discovered at Spindletop, just outside of Beaumont. The great oil boom was on, and the former governor wanted his share. And although oil was never found during his lifetime, he made his family promise to wait 15 years after his death before selling the location. Call it father's intuition or just luck, but the Hoggs finally struck oil and amassed riches. In his will, he writes, "For Mike, Ima, Will, and Tom, may money worries be a thing of the past." With this recently acquired fortune, in 1919, the Hoggs began renovating the location, including re-bricking the exterior surfaces of the buildings, and even restoring the outdoor bathtub that the former governor had installed. Seeing as he weighed at over 300 pounds, the former governor had to get an outdoor tub installed in the back of the home. Today, you can still find this outdoor bathtub, or as some call it, a small swimming pool, still encased in bricks, just as it was over 50 years ago. Prior to the plantation's donation to the Texas Historic Commission in 1958, Ima Hogg and her brother Will Hogg elaborately decorated the interior under the influence of George Washington and other great early Americans. Will Hogg stated, "I wanted to decorate the place as George Washington would have done, if he had a bankroll." I personally feel that he succeeded in this goal. You will note that the parlor of the home directly mirrors these influences. And as the tour of the home continues, you are taken through a series of rooms where you were greeted with a small chandelier, sitting table, and still finely tuned piano. The decorations are simple, yet elegant, and they help remind us of a different time. Out of all the sites listed on the Texas Historic Commission's website, I personally feel that the Varner Hogg Plantation most embodies this great state. To me, Texas is all about diversity. From my hometown of Lubbock, Texas, to here in San Antonio, there are vast differences from culture to landscape. And it's not just these geographic differences, but it's the fact that our state has a proud history that makes it unlike anywhere else in the world. Because let's face it, where else can you find sugarcane, rum, politics, and oil all in the same location? By going on our journey and exploring the plantation under its separate ownerships, it becomes clear that the plantation is more than significant to the history of this state, and is a reason I am proud to call Texas home. Thank you.
That was incredible. Thank you. Ross, that was amazing. If you do get into a political campaign, you've got my vote, and I bet the vote of everyone here. Anyway, thank you so much. We have learned so much from you today. And on behalf of Battle of Flowers, I would like to present you with the first place award of $3,000, and we look forward to seeing you ride in the parade tomorrow. Thank you so much.